Chairman Ligon, distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss the issue of a private interest group selectively funding Georgia election offices. I applaud your investigating all sorts of election irregularities, but even if, for the sake of argument, not one vote in the...
Sorry, can I interrupt you? Could you announce who you're with?
I apologize.
That's okay.
I'm Scott Walter, president of the Capital Research Center. Okay. Washington, D.C. We're a think tank that specializes in studying the nonprofit world.
Thank you.
No trouble. As I said, just for the sake of argument, let's say not one vote in the whole state was fraudulent or miscounted. You would still have the problem that I'm here to describe, and it did not occur only in the past. As we speak, the very same private nonprofit is continuing to offer local Georgia election offices money. This supposedly nonpartisan nonprofit is itself funded to the tune of $350 million by one billionaire family, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg's. Why should this disturb you or the citizens of Georgia? I can answer that with a simple question. Does every one of you facing your next election know that some geographic locales hold more votes for you than others? Do you know the demographic characteristics of persons most likely to vote for you? Their ages, marital status, sex, race, and the like? Of course you do. That's how you and every candidate build electoral majorities and win. Political activists in and out of the official political parties know these simple truths as well, and they use ever more sophisticated micro-targeting to turn out voters. That's fine when the activists are connected to our political parties or when they're in groups like the National Rifle Association or Planned Parenthood, whose legal status publicly acknowledges that they intend to influence public policy, register voters, and otherwise engage in political battles in ways that often benefit one political party or the other. By contrast, it's not right when in Georgia and other battleground states you have political parties and elections significantly helped by the type of nonprofit that's not supposed to get in the middle of elections. The so-called 501c3 nonprofit that's supposed to be charitable, educational, religious, and strictly nonpartisan. I don't want to see donors or C3 nonprofits anywhere along the political spectrum, subtly manipulating elections through gifts to government offices. But this year in Georgia, tens of millions of dollars from that single nonprofit, funded by that single billionaire family, the Zuckerbergs, first flowed into a C3 called the Center for Tech and Civic Life. And then those millions flowed into dozens of Georgia election offices. Not in all the counties, only in 44 of the state's 159 counties, according to CTCL's limited public disclosure. More than 2/3 of the counties in Georgia received nothing. That money made a dramatic difference in your election this November, and it was not a nonpartisan difference. You shouldn't be surprised the center's results were partisan, because its leaders all come from a Democratic-aligned nonprofit group called the New Organizing Institute, which was so successful boosting the Democratic Party in elections that the Washington Post gushed it was, quote, the Democratic Party's Hogwarts of digital wizardry, close quote. Online messaging and all forms of voter outreach were this group's bread and butter. These wizards know how to turn the right people into registered voters and get them to the polls for their favored candidates. The Capital Research Center, where I work, has not been able to verify all the funding the Center for Tech and Civic Life gave Georgia counties, because the center isn't disclosing its grants to us or the Associated Press or other inquirers. even though it will have to disclose those grants in its next IRS filing a year from now. But using local government records and news accounts, we've captured many of the grant amounts, including what were likely the largest ones given to the largest urban areas. I'll read you just a few of our findings, and while I do, ask yourself, do these numbers sound nonpartisan? Should private interest groups like this, backed by a billionaire or two, rather than the state legislators of Georgia, be allowed to pick and choose where to boost election funding and turnout in the Peach State? Okay, first, hoping to forestall criticisms like mine, I suspect, CTCL funded more counties won by Republican candidate Trump than by Democratic candidate Biden, 27 counties to 17. But that's misleading. A much better comparison, CTCL funded 21% of Trump counties versus 55% of Biden counties. So Biden County was over 2.5 times more likely to receive funding.